Dave Palumbo here for Muscle Serpents Daily, and today we're going into that snake room. By the way, it's a beautiful day out here. And we're going to be taking a look at ball pythons, some locks. We're going to be taking a look at how to breed ball pythons today. I know we've done these videos a lot of times, and you know what? I feel like sometimes it's repetitive. I do at least one of these every year. But I know there's a lot of new people that are getting into the hobby on a daily basis, and they just don't know what to do, and it's a very intimidating process for people. They don't really know how big should a male be, how big should a female be, are there any rules really written in stone, what should the temps be? You know what the truth of the matter is? I hate to admit it, there are not that many rules, okay? And a lot of times these rules can be violated. You have to find what works for you. And I tell people that all the time. A lot of times it has to do with where you're keeping your snakes, what your arrangement is, what you're capable of doing in terms of, can you do temperature drops? Do you have the ability to do that? Do you have enough room to do that? Is it going to affect your other snakes that you have in that room? So I'm going to show you what I do, okay, here, and what seems to work. And I'm a big believer in simplicity is the way to go, because when you make things too complicated, it makes it hard to duplicate it over and over again. And why make things more difficult than they're necessary? I know people who run ambient temperatures in their snake rooms of 80 degrees, and they don't have any hot spots. They don't change anything year round. They just keep it that way. And you know what? They get results. Does that mean that's the right way to do it? I don't know. For them, it is. I think it could make it difficult, but not impossible. I'll show you what I do. And then if you like it and it sounds like something that resonates with you, then maybe you'll follow it too. So let's go into the snake room and take a look and see how I breed ball pythons. All right, guys. First of all, if you want to breed ball pythons, you gotta have females, right? Now this girl is a nice big girl. She's been breeding for me for the last couple of years, and so I don't have to be concerned. Is she big enough? Is she gonna breed? I know she's gonna breed this year, more than likely. She's got the size, she's been eating really well. She's got a lot of mass on her, so she's ready to produce eggs, and she'll probably have a big clutch. She always gives me big clutches. But what if you're not sure if your female is big enough? Are there rules? Does it have to really be over 1,200 grams in order for a female to breed? Well, that's kind of like an estimate we use, just because we don't really see females breeding under 1,200 grams. That doesn't mean that they can't, because I've had females that were horrendous eaters, and they were under 1,200 grams, and they produced amazing clutches of eggs, but they were also older. So age has a lot to do with breeding. If you want to breed a young female, and I've bred females, luckily a couple of them went at 18 months, but they were big. They were females that ate really well. They were well over 1,500 grams. And I got lucky, But then I've had females that were 3-4 years old, and they were maybe just almost 1,300 grams. And you know what? They just didn't want to go, and it took a long time to get them to go. So there's not a lot of rules. The rules are, if you're going to breed a female young, they got to have size on them. They got to definitely, be a certain age. But if they're older and they have the years on them, if they're at least 3 years old, a lot of times they don't have to be as big as you think, and they'll still produce real nice clutches of eggs. So age is most important. If you don't have age, the next best thing, obviously, is size. Okay? So having said that, now, what about the males? How big should the males be? This is a loaded question, because a lot of times we hear 900 grams is this number that males need to be. I don't think so. I've bred males at 700, 650 grams and gotten very good results. Once again, age is usually a factor. If you have a male that's not a good eater, but he's got 2 years on him, or 2.5 years under his belt of age, chances are he's probably viable. Now you could take males and you could pop them, and if you pop them and you get like some what we call sperm plugs or some white gooey stuff, that means that they're sexually mature and that they could certainly, impregnate a female snake. So once again, check for sperm plugs in males. Make sure they're eating well, because you don't want to feed a male that's really thin and small, because they could die, because they could breed themselves to death. They don't have enough energy, okay? And if the male is old enough where it's over 2 years of age, even though it might be on the small side, it probably will breed as well. Once again, nutritional status is important. A lot of times you just have snakes that don't eat that well, but they can override that if they have decent muscle mass and if they've, aged and have maturity to them, and they're producing sperm plugs, the most important thing. If you pop the thing and sperm plugs come out, you're probably going to have a good result. If you pop them and you don't have sperm plugs and they're a little on the small side, they probably won't breed. Now, now we have a male and a female, right? That seems to be something that we need to do. What do we do with these things? Well, usually what I do is usually in October, the beginning of October, I'll start to drop temperatures in my room. That means the ambient room temperature. So if it's normally in the 80, like 80, 81, I'll drop it to 75, 76, but slowly over the course of like 4 weeks. So by November 1st, I'm down to about 75 degrees in my room. But I don't touch hot spots ever. That means I don't I don't drop their hot spots. Some people do drop hot spot drops at night. So wherever the heat, tape or pad or coiling, whatever you have is, they'll drop at 10 degrees at night. I don't do that because I find that if a snake wants to get warm or needs to get warm, it should be allowed to. If it doesn't, I see way more respiratory tract infections in my collections. And maybe if I didn't do an ambient room drop, then I could just do a hotspot drop, but that's what some people do. I don't do that. I drop the ambient room temperature. I leave them with the heat. If they want to use the heat, they want it. What I find is that males and females don't really sit on the heat unless they're eating, They want to go to the cool side because they know it's breeding season. And, by mid-October, early November, I'm putting my males with my females at that point. And I'm seeing locks in some and I'm seeing nothing in others. And that's just the way it goes. And just keep pairing them. What I usually do is once a week, I take the males out, I'll feed the females, I'll feed the males, I'll leave the males out for 2 days, and then I put them back in. What that does is it keeps your males strong, and the females seem to have a better feeding response when they're starting to breed. Whereas other pythons, you don't feed them at all. Like my carpets, I don't feed them for 8 weeks when I'm cooling them. Same thing with, boas. You don't usually feed them for 6 to 8 weeks when you're cooling them. They'll eat, but a lot of times we don't do that because that helps initiate breeding, in them. But with the ball pythons, it seems like they eat better, and that food is necessary to build them up. Ball pythons are very intuitive. They know when they want to eat, and they know when they don't want to eat. And they'll let you know. They just won't eat. You can put the rat in there, they'll just leave them. And other times, like when they're in the middle of the breeding season, like this girl, she's pounding food because she knows I need energy to be able to produce my eggs. And that's the key. And that's all you can do. Now the snakes have to do their thing. Don't make it complicated. I once again drop the ambient room temp about 7 degrees over the course of 4 weeks. Put your males with your females. Once a week, take them out to feed them. Keep your hot spots. That's it. That's all I do. And the ball pythons will do their own thing. And some will breed right away, some don't. Some take longer, some need to add some size. Sometimes I put males with females that I know are on the border because maybe they're not eating the way I want them to. Maybe they're a little smaller, and all of a sudden they start pounding food. Once again, every snake is a little different. When you have a big collection, you're going to have different, types of snakes that are going to do different things. Once again, no rules. There's always exceptions to every rule. You might never see a lock, and the snake may be gravid. You may see 1,000 locks, you may get no babies. The female may never go. That's just the way it is. So don't put any expectations. Put them together, say your prayers, and hopefully you'll get eggs when it's all said and done. Now we'll go through the next stage of the process in another video, but I wanted to show you how I introduce them and what you should be doing at this point in time. January, February is when you'll be getting your locks. If you're getting snowstorms in your area, or rainstorms, or drops in temperature, you'll probably see a lot more breeding action during those times. When the barometric pressure gets low, the snakes know it, they sense it, even if they're inside, and they like to breed. So good luck. Let's go inside and see if we can catch some locks. Here's a really, really nice lock. Look at that textbook lock right there. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a Enchi Super Pastel Desert Ghost Het Clown that I'm breeding to a pastel leopard clown that possibly is lesser. It possibly has a new gene in it too. Trying to prove that new gene out still. So nice lock right there. See? In the midst of the breeding season, this is what's happening now. This is what we want to see, and I'm very happy about that. And we'll end today this little beautiful lock I see here, and this is a microscale clown. So that's the microscale form of the scaleless head animal. So it's a separate line. The scales are a little beady, little round raised scales, smaller than an average scale, which you can see here is See how big those scales are? These are teeny mini scales. That's why it's called microscale. There's also missing scales on his head. And the super form of that microscale is a scaleless animal. We are breeding this to a pinstripe scaleless head. So this is pinstripe. It has the scaleless head. Theoretically, they're both different lines, but I think they're going to be compatible. And so I'm testing that out. I tried it last year. It didn't go. I didn't get anything from this female. She wasn't really eating well, but we got a nice lock here. So I'm hoping to produce some scaleless animals, maybe pinstripe scaleless animals that are head for clown. Should be great. The question is, will they look microscale or not? That is the question I'm trying to answer. And that's the fun of breeding, to find out these things, right? All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it made sense to you. I hope you learned something maybe from the way I do things, and maybe you'll pick up a couple of things that you didn't do before, and now you'll use them in your breeding program. Maybe you'll say, you know what, I don't like that he does that. To me, it doesn't work for me. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to try something different. And at the end of the day, it's got to be all about what works for you and what gives you results. And guess what? If you're doing something and you're getting good results right now, don't change just because you saw me do something, because it could mess you up. Consistency is what's important. Nick Mutton always said sometimes people who change something every single year and try to do different techniques usually wind up messing things up rather than making them better. All right, on those wise words, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, hit your like button, and I'll see you back tomorrow morning.